technology practically seeps through the millimetric panel gaps of the brand new Bentley Continental GT, but this isn't a scientific calculator on forged 22-inch wheels, all processors, and no panache. In fact, it's supposed to be the most definitively perfect grand touring machine the world has ever seen. Yes, the new Conti has a 48-volt electrical system, so active suspension can prop itself up so accurately the car doesn't know body roll. We've seen that on the Bentayga and Audi's SQ7 already, but combining that with the new Conti's longer wheelbase and shoved-back engine should make this the sharpest handling Bentley outside of Le Mans. And yes, it's made of super-formed aluminium that's not only 80 kilograms lighter than the last Conti's body, but can also be wrought into sharper creases and more subtle curves. Which is why, as you'll have noticed, the new Conti looks similar to the old one, but sleeker, tighter around the seams, and leaner. We could go on for weeks listing quantifiable ways the Conti has moved with the times. But that's somehow not very Bentley. And we can vouch for the sweeter proportions and prettier detailing because Top Gear was invited up to crew for a secret audience with the new GT not long ago, and in the metal it makes a stunning impression. Those lower, faster haunches are almost 911-ish, and the oval lights come straight from the EXP10 Speed 6 concept. Speaking of speed, the bi-turbo W12 has been ramped up to develop 626 bhp, and now drives all four wheels via an 8-speed dual-clutch gearbox related to the Porsche Panameras, with which the Conti also shares its platform. Expect 0 to 62 miles per hour in 3.7 seconds, a top speed of 207 miles per hour, and that's in 6th gear. The top two cogs are for oozing cruising. Inside, well, wow. Bentley has re-rendered Audi's virtual cockpit to give its own opulent dials but the same nav/media/settings capability in your eyeline, while the dash has a party piece. Bored of the pin-sharp 12.3-inch touchscreen? It'll electrically rotate, exposing a triplet of delightfully old-school temperature gauges. Short attention span? Then turn the Toblerone panel again and a veneer section turns into view, creating a minimalist suite of perfect marquetry to complement a world of knurled metal and sumptuously quilted leather. Even the indicator stalks are bespoke, knurled jewels. And thanks to the fresh architecture and glass roof, it's noticeably roomier and airier than before. The cabin was designed by Bentley's chief cabin artiste, and a gentleman with the greatest name in all of motoring, Romulus Rost. Among his past works is the very first Audi TT cockpit, which ranks as one of the most enduring, iconic car interiors of the past 25 years. He points out Bentley's subtle deployment of real metal where the customer's touchpoints lie, and tells us he voted for physical buttons rather than Panamera-style touch-sensitive glass to make the Continental more familiar and traditional to use. More stress-free. Besides, it's not as if there are often many blank buttons on even the most basic of Bentleys. You can have up to 18 speakers at 2,200 watts of music power. There are allegedly 10 square meters of wood inside, and each embroidered diamond contains 712 stitches. The tech's sure to be mind-blowing, but there's no substitute for attention to detail. For 2018, Mercedes-Benz offers an updated S-Class plug-in hybrid for its flagship line. The S560e has an all-electric range of about 31 miles and made its debut this week at the 2017 Frankfurt Motor Show. The S560e's hybrid drive system combines 367 HP from its 3.0-liter twin-turbo V6 engine with an electric output of 90 kilowatts or an additional 121 HP. That's a combined total of 488 HP on tap, which should be more than enough power to scoot the sleek sedan from 0 to 62 miles per hour in only 5 seconds. Mercedes-Benz's third-generation hybrid transmission is based on its 9-speed automatic transmission. Its torque converter, clutch, and electric motor, developed jointly with Bosch, reside in the hybrid drive unit under the hood. Plug-in access is located in the rear of the S-Class on the bumper, just below the right tail light. Mercedes states that although the battery size remains unchanged, The new lithium-ion battery has an increased rated capacity of 13.5 kWh. It is supplied by the Daimler subsidiary Deutsche Akkumotive, which also provides battery packs for smart EVs. To help drivers get the most out of their posh plug-in, the S560e gets Eco Assist as standard. The system notifies the driver via a head-up display when it is optimal to let off on the accelerator, when to coast, or when to tap on the brakes for energy recuperation. Mercedes-Benz says the S560e's onboard 7.2 kW charger allows for fast charging of the battery, but did not provide charging times for the plug-in. Pricing and delivery hasn't been announced, but we should know more details closer to its estimated delivery date in the late fall or early spring. The fastest hot stone massage money can buy. Zurich, Switzerland. 264. I'm grinning like a fool as I alert my co-driver of our Autobahn velocity, the equivalent of 164 miles per hour. Yet as I triumphantly embrace the incredible speed of this 2018 Mercedes-AMG S63, I can't help but notice that he's more focused on a menu within the common infotainment system. I can't believe I've been riding in the car this whole time without a massage, he says. You want me to turn yours on, too? Duh. It's an AMG S-Class. If you're not at the peak of relaxation while burning at warp speed, you're a goddamn amateur. Heart of gold. Say goodbye to the 5.5-liter V8. For 2018, the S63 uses Mercedes-AMG's bitterbocharged 4.0-liter V8, you know, the one from the AMG GT, tuned to 603 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque. And before you go, there's no replacement for displacement on me. Know that this smaller engine has 26 more horsepower and doesn't lose a smidge of torque. Hammer down, the big S63 roars to life with a proper AMG growl, and this engine pulls and pulls and pulls, delivering a wave of power with immediate response in every gear. I won't miss that 5.5-liter V8, not one bit. She can cook. Make no mistake, a nearly 5,000 pound S-Class doesn't handle with the same tactility as the aforementioned AMG GT, but wow, is this thing impressive. I don't remember any version of the Audi A8, BMW 7 Series, or Jaguar XJ feeling this nimble and energetic on winding mountain roads. The big Merc does a great Panamera turbo impression here, with a nicely balanced chassis, a firm handshake from the steering wheel, and an all-wheel drive system that doesn't slap you on the wrist for trying to have a little fun. This new S63 is far more raucous in execution than any of its predecessors. What a dull, civilized as an S-Class should be. Only in the AMG S63 is a 164 miles per hour freeway run a total non-event. I'm having a leisurely conversation with my passenger. The cabin is quiet and comfortable. The ride is stable, and so smooth. Should I have more passengers on board, they'd be happy as clams in the spacious and luxurious rear seats. And when the speed-restricted section of German road returns again, adaptive cruise control and steering assist will do almost all of the driving work for me. This car is first and foremost a flagship, and the AMG S-Class doesn't let its newfound aggression upset its key mission of being one of the best luxury cars in the world. Thoughtful updates. Beyond the new 4.0-liter engine and retuned dynamics, the AMG S63 gets a handful of upgrades in noticeable areas. That redesigned steering wheel isn't just for show, it houses two thumb-controlled touchpads to control the latest version of command infotainment, just like the E-Class. Plus, a number of minor material and design tweaks firmly solidify the S-Class interior as the most premium full-size space this side of a Rolls-Royce. Too much tech? Consider this: Mercedes went through the trouble of creating new energizing comfort modes that change the ambient lighting colors, seat massage functions, air purification scent, and even the music, to sort of set a scene and help the driver feel rejuvenated, focused, or invigorated. Yes, they've truly thought of everything, and while this level of onboard tech is impressive, I often find it overwhelming. There are menus within menus and screens that control screens within menus and options for the menus in their screens, and oh God, why won't it just let me play the music on my phone? If you're the kind of technophobe who finds this all a bit daunting, prepare to have your mind blown. I can't decide if it looks better. All S-Class models get a redesigned nose for 2018, with 3-bar LED lighting in the headlamps, and more definition around the lower air intakes. The updates are minor, but to my eyes, they don't seem to improve upon the handsomely understated shape of the outgoing S63. Styling is, of course, subjective, so if you disagree with my placement of this opinion in the cons section, feel free to let me have it in the comments. A mid-cycle update keeps Mercedes S-Class at the top of the luxury ranks. Zurich, Switzerland. Mercedes-Benz isn't resting on its laurels for this mid-cycle enhancement of the S-Class sedan. During a product briefing in Zurich, no one is talking about addressing customer complaints or improving minor details. Instead, S-Class global development boss Hermann Storff lays down the objective with clear direction: we want to build the best car in the world. After all, this isn't just any Mercedes, it's the S-Class. The flagship. The benchmark car, Storff affirms. More than all the others, this is the one car that must contain the full breadth of Mercedes DNA in flawless execution. Visual updates only tell a small part of the story, though the attention to detail here is nevertheless impressive. New headlights feature triple-line LED running lights, and the lower fascia air intakes are a bit more agape than before. The end result is a schnoz that's a bit more assertive in its design, though I'm not sold on the final product. Some of the handsome elegance from last year's model is lost in this update, to my eyes. No matter, the rest of the S-Class shape is svelte and stately as ever, with minor tweaks to the tail lamps and new wheel designs across the full range of models. The US gets 8 variants in total. The S-Class range starts with the S450 and S450 MATIC, with the 362 horsepower, bitterbocharged 3.0-liter V6 you'll recognize from other 450 badged Mercedes models. Moving up the ladder, there's the S560 and S560 MATIC, powered by the same 4.0-liter Bitturbo V8 found in the one rung-up AMG S63, though obviously with less power. There's a Mercedes-Maybach version of the S560 MATIC, as well, and if it's hardy V12 you seek, your choices are either the Maybach S650 or AMG S65, both with rear-wheel drive. All versions will hit US showrooms later this year, with pricing to be announced closer to that time, and Mercedes says a plug-in hybrid version will arrive in the near future, as well. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention the new S500 that'll be sold in other markets, complete with a brand new, 3.0-liter, Bitturbo straight 6 that's both more powerful and more efficient than the older V6 we're getting in the S450. Yes, I'm also curious as to what the hell Mercedes is thinking by not offering this engine in the U.S spec model, but company officials assure me it will arrive in our market eventually, just not in the S-Class. Think CLS or AMG. In any case, I'll have to tell you about the V6 powered S450 another time. As I blast out of Zurich, I'm behind the wheel of the very lovely, rear-wheel drive S560. Its 4.0-liter V8 is the same one you know from a wide range of AMG products, with 14 more horsepower and the same torque rating as the old S550's 4.7-liter Bitturbo V8, 4 ratings of 463 HP and 516 lb-ft. Despite this engine's employment under the hood of the yacht-like S560, there's a lot of AMG character within. It begins with a growl upon startup, a hearty, robust V8 sound. There's a wave of torque right from the moment you dig into the throttle, with silky smooth and linear power delivery. It makes for a surprisingly quick S560, too, the all-important 0 to 60 run dispatched in just 4.5 seconds. The 9-speed automatic transmission effortlessly and imperceptibly swaps cogs, never executing a harsh shift even under aggressive driving behavior. Indeed, this engine is capable of a lot, but Mercedes 9G-tronic automatic ensures that the AMG NES never overstates the S560's intended mission of being a formidable luxury barge. The S560 is unflappable, its refinement top-notch. In other words, don't let that AMG heart fool you, this is still a first-rate luxury sedan that's more about comfortable cruising than canyon carving. Body roll is present in corners, the steering is nicely weighted but appropriately devoid of feedback, and the air suspension filters out as many harsh surfaces as possible. Still, the eagerness of this 4.0-liter engine mean the S560 doesn't hate being pressed into service for the occasional bit of sporty driving. But if spirited drives or hugely fast autobahn runs are your thing, might I suggest the AMG S63. It uses the same V8 as the S560, but turns up the wick to the tune of 603 HP and 664 lb-ft. It's fantastic. Of course, for as nice as the S-Class is to drive, it's also wonderfully capable when you let all its semi-autonomous systems take over, let go and let God, as it were. The sheer number of let us do it for you features here is exhaustive. Not sold on the sportiness, but as a fast, quiet highway missile, you can hardly do better than Genesis' newest sedan. Detroit, Michigan. It looks like Jake Holmes and I may have driven the very same Genesis G80 Sport. Vehicle specification, driveline, color, and total price are all identical from our first drive. Normally I would oppose doing two pieces of review content on a single van, but the fact is that Jake and I had two very different driving experiences. Our intrepid senior editor had the task of vetting the sport's sportiness on curving back roads and aggressive grades, while I piloted the Genesis for some 1,000 miles of sanguine Midwestern highway cruising. I drove from Detroit to eastern Iowa, just over the Mississippi River, and I think that kind of trip is exactly where this well-realized luxury car is most at home. The guys at the car wash dig it. I typically know that a new design is somewhat successful if the dudes down at the car wash are asking me about it. Those guys see everything, and have earned our respect. In the case of the G80, they espoused positive reviews of the bold grille, and the unusual but cool polar ice paint hue. I agree on both points, and would go further to say that the sport trim of the G80 is one of the most evocative designs in the segment right now. Big 6 power. When I first heard that the G80 Sport would not be available with the 5.0-liter V8 engine that I love so much, I made a frowny face and scratched my head, which anyone will tell you, is just shy of my flying into a rage. But the application of the turbocharged 3.3-liter V6 and 8-speed automatic transmission quickly salved my frustration. The powertrain makes the G80 feel darn quick, actually. The 365 horsepower and 376 pound-feet of torque are both class-leading, as far as there is a segment for this lightly sporty mid-size luxury sedan, and make for breezy acceleration. Even high-speed highway passes were executed with hardly an effort, the 8-speed willing to kick down rapidly when asked. Silent and steady. The G80 Sport loves nothing more than to be set at radar adaptive cruise, at 75 miles per hour, and then just quietly eat up the miles that come at it. The techie bits like an active assist for steering, you can take your hands off the wheel for a short spell, in concert with an ultra-smooth ride, make this Genesis a remarkable road tripper. The excellent ride quality is matched with a really quiet cabin, meaning I was in music/podcast/audiobook heaven by way of the 17-speaker Lexicon stereo. The only car that I've driven in recent memory that might be better at quiet cruising is the tomb-like Buick LaCrosse, a car that's less premium to look at and less fun to drive when you hit the exit ramp. More of a daily driver than a sporty one. While I applaud Genesis for giving the G80 a multimodal transmission and suspension setup, I can't endorse the sport mode for anything other than the occasional stoplight shenanigans. Of course, on my long highway cruise the sharper throttle response and vaguely firmer suspenders had exactly zero impact on the experience. But even during a few brief dalliances in city centers I found the augmented tip-in to be uncouth, and the firmer shock absorbers hard to detect. Perhaps the later make a difference on a racetrack or at 9/10 on a canyon road, but who are we kidding here, guys? Just a little tight back here. Genesis product planners have given above average space to the front two seats, at the expense of rear seat room and trunk volume. That's no problem if you mostly drive as a single or a double, but if you value a big boot or back seat, you might investigate the Lexus GS. Bang on the numbers, and yet. The good news is that I had no trouble hitting the EPA estimated 25 miles per gallon on the highway. In fact, I saw 26 mpg for my return trip to Michigan. The bad news is that 6-cylinder versions of competitors from Cadillac, BMW, and Lexus all hit, or come closer to, 30 mpg on the highway. Yes, the Genesis has more power to make up for it, but the other cars never felt weak to begin with. Bottom line, if fuel economy is on your shopping list, the G80 Sport might not be. They say happiness is a warm puppy, but I'd like to suggest a far better definition: a leather-lined, technology-packed, all-wheel drive sedan with 605 horsepower. That's the 2017 Audi S8 Plus in a nutshell. Yes, it's big, almost 17 feet in length, and yes, it's heavy, nearly 2.5 tons, despite being largely aluminum, but, oh yeah, it will blow your mind right into the weeds. Introduced for model year 2016, the Plus edition of Audi's super sedan added 85 horsepower to the previous model. It's now the only S8 version available on our shores, and, man, does it ever run. Mash down on the throttle, feel the 8-speed automatic dicing and slicing all 517 pound-feet of torque, 553 lb-ft when overboost kicks in, and this sumptuously appointed, $148,000 executive's chariot will blast from 0 to 60 miles per hour in, says Audi, just 3.7 seconds. No way. It's quicker than that. I've driven some seriously fast machinery lately and the S8 Plus is right there with all of them. With Quattro all-wheel drive, the S8 simply explodes off the line, all 4 tires biting into the asphalt, the V8 screaming to its 6,800 RPM redline, stupefied Corvette drivers exclaiming, "What the hell was that?" Speed doesn't come much more sublimely than it does with the S8 Plus. The bodywork does suggest some serious muscle lurking beneath, but it's a subtle come on. You have to pay attention to notice the 21-inch Audi Sport alloys dressed in 275/35 summer meat, the massive front air intake, the enormous 15.7-inch front and 14.6-inch rear ceramic brake discs, and the carbon fiber rear lip spoiler. Otherwise, you might just mistake this for just another conservatively styled, garden variety luxury sedan. Stealth plays a huge part in the S8's appeal. Unlike its regular 8L sibling, the S8 rides on a shorter, 117.9-inch wheelbase. You won't really miss the space. The rear seats are still plenty roomy, but the tidier package makes for noticeably improved nimbleness. The S8's adaptive air suspension is stiffer, too, while the Plus's Quattro system has been rejiggered to bias more torque to the rear. In dynamic mode, the S8 is astonishingly responsive for a sedan its size. Steering feel, it's an electromechanical system, is outstanding, appropriately hefty, and with fine communication of building cornering loads. Understeer is minimal, and the chassis will actually step out in back with judicious application of the gas or brakes. Paddle shifts aren't dual clutch quick, but they're quick for a slush box. And the ceramic brakes, part of the $11,000 dynamic package, are all but bulletproof. I never noted a hint of fade, and I pushed this beast through my favorite mountain lanes hard. Yet the S8 has another, softer side. Switch into comfort mode and you could almost be riding in a Jaguar XJ. It's that supple. The turbocharged 4.0-liter V8 is muted at low revs, wind noise is minimal, almost non-existent, and the transmission changes gears without a ripple. The luxury is prodigious, too. My test car included the Bang & Olufsen Advanced Sound System, $6,300, the Audi Design Package, $5,500, which includes black leather with Eris red stitching, carbon twill inlays, and a piano black shifter, and such standard niceties as 22-way power front seats, heated and ventilated, 2, a power moon roof, navigation, an Alcantara headliner, and a head-up display. As always, Audi gets the look right, from the quilting of the leather to the glossiness of the center console to the pleasing feel of the thick, 3-spoke leather wheel. Some of the elements are beginning to look dated. For instance, the S8 lacks the glorious, multifunction virtual cockpit color display found in the S3, but the conventional analog gauges still have an appropriately business-like appeal. No one who enters this cockpit will do so without saying, wow. The S8 uses an older version of Audi's MMI infotainment interface, but it still works well. The small rotary dial and accompanying mode buttons in the center console make summoning various systems and commands easy. There's an old-school charm to the S8's cockpit. It's almost a throwback to a pre-digital age, though there's still plenty of advanced tech on hand. It's approachable, clean, stylish without being flashy. I like it. A driver assistance package, $2,100, adds active lane assist, adaptive cruise, and Presense Plus, which, at speeds up to 52 miles per hour, actively scans for moving pedestrians and vehicles ahead and, if it senses a potential collision, alerts the driver and even hard brakes itself if the driver takes no action. Also helpful is a standard parking sensor system with a top view camera monitor. I cannot hide it, I loved my week in the S8 Plus. I like its quiet presence, the confidence it inspires during enthusiastic driving, the peace of mind delivered by its myriad safety systems, the car's ability to transform itself from relaxed cruiser to raging monster at the flick of a dial. But most of all, I love the speed. The effortless, hair-straightening speed. When you order the optional dynamic package, the electronic limiter doesn't cut in until 190 miles per hour. That's right, the Audi S8 Plus has to be restrained before it goes even faster.